I'll get the timer.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. 29 and a half minutes left.
That's perfect.
Hello. Hello, and welcome to Burning Boat Business, the podcast where we discuss the success, failures, and progress of our business Burning Boat as well as ourselves.
Yeah.
Great. Let me just adjust this real quick.
Okay.
So, screwed up.
Maybe I need to adjust mine too.
Okay.
It's pointing at my forehead.
Okay.
Mics are ready. Here we
I'm
go.
ready. How have you been? Not so good.
Great.
You've been sick.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you have some good things to talk about because I haven't done much in the past week, to be honest. I've had a little cold. Took some time off. Feeling better.
Found
Not
yourself?
quite yet, but I think you've had a more interesting week.
Yeah.
If you want to just go straight to that.
I don't know. I don't have anything in particular order.
Okay.
I think the first thing I wanted to talk about, we'll get into what happened last week and everything, is kind of the YouTube episode.
Yeah.
So we were planning on releasing the season finale of season 1. And on the, what day is it today? Even Monday? 3 days ago we were supposed to release it.
On Friday, yes.
We did not release it. I showed up. Was it Friday morning or Thursday morning?
Yeah, you showed up Thursday morning.
God, that was
when we had we started shooting stuff on Wednesday. We had my brother come over and help us.
Right.
We shot some stuff. We didn't quite get it done, so we were planning on finishing that on Thursday.
Yeah.
We set aside Thursday. You showed up.
And you were like,
I'm
sick.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get sick.
We took advantage of the situation a little bit and kind of made it easier for us to not.
I also didn't want to get sick.
Yeah, it's a fair reason.
I think I might have caught it. We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, it's not good if both of us are sick at the same time.
No.
I think that would be very bad. At least if one of us is still working, things can never get really
out of hand.
Yeah, or
behind, kind of
really far behind.
Yeah. Anyway, so I showed up on Thursday. We had this whole plan to shoot on a green screen and everything, and then we, I think we both didn't want to do it, so we were like, "Do you want to?" And then
it was
like,
it was definitely easy to make the decision not to because there was now suddenly a real reason not to.
Right. And so I was super excited because I was like in the middle of working on my feature. I was like, "Oh, great!" And then it turned into like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, basically, to work alone. And again, we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
But so what's happening with the YouTube episode during the days while I was working on my feature, I kind of just jotted down this idea that I was like, well, why don't we actually... There's two things we could do. We could release the video this week, quickly shoot some stuff, edit it together, and release it.
Like what we had planned to do?
What we had planned to do.
Or what we had planned on doing like today.
What was today?
So on Thursday, we made like a quick plan before deciding to
I've already forgot.
Which was... all we're going to do is shoot ourselves in front of a green screen explaining why we're not doing it.
Right.
And that be it.
So that's one option. The other option is out. And the third option is giving ourselves more time until we actually do the things that we wanted to do in the episode. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So the whole point was like in the episode, it's our sort of...
Well, we can explain. I guess now it's not really a secret anymore.
Have we talked about it?
No, but it doesn't have to be a secret anymore.
Yeah, talk about it.
We could explain what our big idea was that we wanted to convey in like a creative way what it feels like to start working on a big project like editing a feature-length film or writing a feature-length film. Taylor's just about
I almost grabbed the chip
in front of a microphone.
I'm so sorry.
For those of you who are sensitive to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't.
I didn't.
Be grateful.
Mesothelioma.
And so our idea was to show ourselves in like this white abyss.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call it other than that.
Yeah, like a white abyss.
This virtual reality world kind of where we are trying to figure out how to get out of our own heads and back into working on our projects.
Right.
Literally showing ourselves in an endless white room, trying to find the door, finding a door, emerging into the real world where there's all this crazy stuff happening. Things are exploding, bullets are flying. It's meant to just be a war zone that we're venturing into.
Right.
And we somehow arrive at our desks equipped with material to write with and to edit with.
Yeah.
And then kind of getting into the episode. And then that's literally just the intro. So it was like this big plan.
Yeah. Would have been sick.
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
And I think the idea was right. But what we said, I feel like we said this in last week's episode.
We did, I think.
Right.
So let's not go too much into it.
The whole thing of like, well, we actually want to do the things instead of like
showing
representing them in a YouTube episode. So I don't fucking know what to do is what I'm trying to say. I think it's an interesting idea to be like, well, let's just postpone it until we've actually done those things and then try to make a video.
I think it's a cool idea. It's a cool video.
Yeah.
So that maybe we could save it and do it if there's ever a time when we feel like, oh, like we could do it now.
Right.
Do it. Fine.
Right.
But I don't really think that's going to happen anytime soon.
So what's the point then?
Well, I don't think we should do it.
So what do we do instead? Just sit in front of the green screen?
Yeah, I think it should just be some kind of like update just so that people who want to.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's either the green screen or postponing it. But I also think if we postpone it, I don't think I'm going to want to do it more.
No, by saying postpone it, I mean like, obviously just because we haven't done it now doesn't mean that idea is suddenly dead. But I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So I guess postponing it is just a silly thing to say. It just means we don't want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Probably ever.
All right. Well, let's move on.
I think that's the best thing to do. Let's just get over it. I'd like to just get into what we are planning on doing with YouTube, which is just casual uploads, showing what we're doing and not taking it too seriously.
Right.
So let's just start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only thing that I'm like, I
know.
Is that it's a finale and
but
you want it to be like big and like.
But it's not.
But I like the idea,
if it
for
were
example,
from okay.
Even in the second season,
Yeah.
I like that format of like, oh, we do 8 episodes quite quickly, and then one episode is like a lot of time. Kind of like we take a lot of time and sort of make the same length episode, just take more time doing it. But there's only one of those. It's not like every single one
I like
that.
Obviously that I like that idea too, but it's like the reason why we haven't done it is because we're working on other stuff and we just aren't prioritizing it.
No, I know.
It's very clear.
I know.
Whether we want to or not, we just haven't been.
Yeah.
Every time there's been an opportunity to work on it, we've chosen to do something else. And that has its own value, and our obviously is what we're feeling like is the most important thing to be focusing on.
Yeah.
So it's just like we would be forcing ourselves to do it because it sounds like a cool plan.
Yeah.
And I agree, it sounds cool. I mean, that's why we came up with it. But we just aren't working on it.
But
we just aren't doing it.
Okay. Well, it's not going to happen. I don't know when the YouTube video is going to come out, but it'll come out soon. Because I don't think we're going to do it today, are we?
I haven't even thought of that.
Me neither.
No, I don't think so.
I'd rather not.
I just don't know what. That's why. Why would we ever come out with a big one if we're already like, oh no, I don't want to do it.
I mean, no, off the top of my head, I think I'd be more motivated to do the big one. I'm not motivated to sit in front of the green screen and talk.
Yeah.
That's less motivating to me than
No,
like,
I see what you mean. It's like it's easier to do something that would be good.
Exciting. Yeah.
I think.
But it goes back to I don't fucking know.
Let's just kill it dead.
Let's kill it. Should we even post the final episode?
Maybe it's just the reality of the situation that we haven't posted it, and that means something.
Yeah, the only thing I'm bummed about is the fear setting, but I don't mind holding on to that.
Yeah, see, I still feel like we can use that for something.
Yeah. Season 2, Ep 1.
There's some good stuff there.
We'll see.
It's a bit sad. It is a bit sad, the whole idea.
Yeah, but we just don't have time, I guess. No, not I guess. We just don't.
We're choosing to spend it.
Yeah.
On a different thing.
Great. Moving on.
I think we should never talk about that again.
Never again.
Unless something dramatically has changed.
So are we not making... No, we haven't decided that.
Well, let's decide on it so that we can actually get over this.
Okay.
Should we release an episode 9 that is something that feels like a finale, or something that feels like it is capping off the season? Or do we just end it, not really do anything, forget about the announcement we made, and just move on to what we actually kind of want to do?
Yes.
The second part? Just move on?
I want to say that.
It's like, what's the benefit of
why don't we
doing
take a week to think about it? We don't have time this week either. Is my main concern.
Yeah, we're filming 3 different things this week.
So it's like
This week's quite busy. That's true.
let's just wait to the end of the week, and then I say if we have the time, I think we should do it, even though I don't want to. I really don't think it was going to take that much time. I think we scratch the wide abyss, we scratch the street, and we go straight into something very simple and just bang it out. For
Like
the
what?
sake of the
Like what, though?
like sitting in front of a green screen or
So like literally something that isn't great, but is just an end.
yeah, and that's the
sake-
punishment
But what is the benefit of doing that?
that we finished what we said we were going to do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Is there any other benefit other than like our own pride?
I don't think it's pride. It's like I think looking back, it'll be because mentally it's going to cap it off too. Like that's season 1 done,
I think that might help
as opposed
a lot,
to
yeah.
it just fizzled off. Which I think it's easier to be like, oh no, we finished season 1, so season 2 is going to start soon. If it fizzles off, it's like it's gonna be hard to start season 2. I feel like
I think you're right.
because you're gonna be like,
That's true.
what?
I can agree with that. And then we could put the fear setting in that.
It'll be simple enough.
Okay. All right. We'll do something very basic.
Something
that we can do in
I don't want to set a date on
in
it.
half a day.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll cap off season 1.
Right.
And yeah. Okay.
I'll come up with some.
I'll be
ideas.
honest.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Great.
I agree.
Cool.
Next week.
I want the last word. Okay, so now we can get to the last week. You know what I've done, but I'm just gonna pretend like you don't know.
Okay.
Do you want to ask me?
What have you been doing while I haven't seen you?
Oh, that's so funny that you'd ask, because actually I had my iMac at home, so I was able to work on my movie.
Oh yeah, you brought your computer home.
Right, and basically I spent however many days straight finishing my screenshots, which we talked about last episode. I don't want to explain that whole thing again.
Yeah.
But the screenshots, and I've synced. I'm just going to throw out like 72% of my film. That's not an accurate percentage. It's somewhere around there. Which was a huge grind, but very exciting at the same time. And I was getting like a little emotional while I was doing it. And so I had just written down that I should thank you for helping on my film. And there's still a lot of other people I need to thank as well. And I will do that in person. I don't want to do that on here. But yeah, just like it was some really great memories in the footage.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing that I don't know, you came out for 30 days to like solely
so
work
much
on
fun.
something that was
One of the best things I've ever done.
I'm glad to hear that.
100%.
But it was, yeah, it's nice.
I
going through
love
the
watching
footage.
that footage.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen the footage you're talking about,
Yeah.
but just the footage I took, like what we just watched a little bit of just now.
Yeah.
It is so much fun, and I'm so glad that we did film behind the scenes stuff as well, because it was like, yeah, when you're in it, it's hard to see how fun it actually is.
That's the thing. I was like, I don't remember us laughing that much. I don't remember me having, and
it
it's
was
like
so
constantly
good.
people are smiling.
It
and
is
like,
amazing. Yeah. It's just exciting.
It's just stressful in the moment,
It is.
but worth it, obviously.
But it's like, I think we're both quite clear on at least we know within ourselves that we like that kind of stuff.
Right.
I feel the happiest when I'm working really hard.
Right.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard to like see it when you're in it. So
I think
being
you're
able to
so
kind of
fucking
look at it
close to it.
afterwards is like, whoa,
Right.
that was really cool.
And for those of you who don't know, basically, while I was shooting my feature film, which you were the cinematographer on, you were also shooting behind the scenes on a separate camera.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, thinking about the logistics of that now, I don't really remember what I did to do that.
Yeah.
I just had to sacrifice a lot of stuff I didn't shoot because I was on the main camera.
Right.
But because the actor of the film is actually holding the camera for most of the time, I actually was able to have my hands free in a little bit and film
I
some
think
stuff.
that helped a lot.
Of course. I mean, I could not have done
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
if I
yeah.
was on the camera all the time.
Yeah. And then there's something about shooting behind the scenes that is just, I feel like it's so important to do. Like, if you're going to fucking spend the time to make a film, like, you want to remember. It's so hard to remember. Like, you watch that footage and you're like, right, we did do that.
Uh-huh.
I would have forgot. I would have never thought about that moment again. The one you just showed me of us, like, planning at that
But also
desk.
that
I don't even
it's the,
remember
like,
it, to be honest.
The process of arriving at what we end up shooting
Right.
is kind of documented.
Right.
From I don't know what we're doing to, well, we should film it this way and for this reason, and okay, now we need to change it because of this factor, and
Right.
and you remember it kind of as it's oh yeah, I kind of remember thinking that. It's
Yeah.
like it triggers different things that you hadn't thought of.
It's very weird.
You were saying that it was also like everyone should do it because then you can see yourself
Yeah.
interacting with your crew and you can start to analyze
Yeah.
what you're doing good and what you could do better.
Right.
Like
It's
that to me
exactly
is
like
like
the podcast what we were talking about. For anybody who hasn't done this, I don't know why you fucking would, but like, if you ever get the chance to record a conversation or to record kind of what you do professionally, it's so interesting to watch it back and see, like you were saying, then you can see if you like misunderstood people, if
it's
somebody
very
said
clear.
something and you just went down the wrong way. There's a few things where it's like, the next time I direct a movie, I think it's so helpful to have that to look back on, because there's certain things where I'm like, why didn't you just do this a little bit differently? Why didn't you do this thing? And it's a lot easier to see in hindsight.
Is there anything that you
sort of-
can like think of now that you'd be like, oh, I would definitely do this differently?
I think there's been some like very specific things. I haven't thought about it on a
Right.
broader, but it'll be like, you know, oh, we could have just changed that actor's clothes a
Right.
tiny bit, and that would have made such a difference, actually, just in terms of
Yeah.
like what I actually wanted. And I was like, why
Yeah.
didn't I think that in the moment? Like, it would have been so easy to just be like, oh, can you just ruffle up that shirt real quick and blah, blah, blah.
I think it's very hard to understand what it's like being on a set
Yeah.
with that few crew members and how many tiny, seemingly insignificant details you have to try and keep on top of
Especially,
to ensure continuity
yeah,
within the scene. That it's just you
especially
can't
in
think
New
of
York, I
everything.
think. Because the thing is, I've noticed when I watched it, it's like communication was such a hard thing. First of all, one of my actors was hard of hearing. So that was like actually a huge,
Yeah,
it makes things difficult.
yeah.
And
It also had its benefits.
totally. I think it worked out in certain ways. But then also, you're not on a set. It's not like when I'm like, hey, everyone stops and listens. You're like in the middle of a busy street with like trains going off and blah, blah, blah. Just trying to communicate across one street is like a fucking nightmare. I was watching the footage of like me telling people to go down the stairs, wait for 20 seconds, then I run back, look through the camera, then we're waiting for the people to come out. They misunderstood what was meant. But then they come out, then you're trying to yell across the street at them and be like, no, go back and wait 20 seconds.
But they can't hear you. They're
and
fully in their thing.
oh my God. And you're only a street away, but it's like, I don't know. Some parts of New York are just so fucking loud. And then, I mean, you're not only dealing with them either. You're dealing with your actors then. You got the extras. You got, you on the camera. I got Brett filming. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Big.
So that having that much going on, it's sometimes easy in hindsight to be like, well, why didn't we just change that little thing?
Right.
And it's just
Or little things
that's
like,
hard to change.
I think for the future, I would just tell so you and Bennett got good towards the end with like just kind of ignoring me and doing your own thing. And I think I would tell that right away to people, be like,
Yeah.
you guys communicate with each other.
Figure it out.
Because I don't have like time or like that mental space to be able to be like, did you do that? Did you?
I think we realized...
Because you guys got frustrated with me
We realized
at some point,
too
and I was
late
like,
because we did bring it up to you, and I remember we had a
Right.
conversation about it, and I can't remember how the conversation went, but we ended up
was
kind of
something-
agreeing that you would still call cut,
Right.
and if you didn't, we wouldn't cut.
Right.
And then it became clear quickly after that conversation that you were still forgetting to actually call cut, and that half of the time you were still stuck.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the cut. It was saying cut or hard cut.
Yeah.
Because I would basically
Yeah,
say,
you said cut to the actors.
right.
And that
to
was
finish
getting
them.
Yeah.
But for some scenes, we wanted to keep the camera and sound rolling, which now editing it, I'm like, honestly, it doesn't fucking matter. Which is
Right.
why it's probably a good idea, or what I would do next time is just tell the cinematographer and the sound guy, you guys figure it out. Just
Yeah.
make sure that if one of you cuts, both of you cut.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
the annoying part is like if the sound runs and you have like 8 camera takes that
Yeah,
fit into
yeah,
one
yeah.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because then it just takes a little bit longer.
No, I get it.
But yeah, like that's all that little stuff is like I can just write that down in the book now as I'm going through the footage, and then the next film I'll be like, all right, these little things that like you just wouldn't think about, you know.
But yeah, I that seeing yourself communicate with other people on camera, so not just with the audio, but actually with the visuals as well.
Yeah.
Is you learn so much about
Yeah.
how to communicate better.
Yeah.
It's very, very useful.
It's cool.
Definitely recommend it to anyone who can get away with recording.
That's what I meant. I'm not.
But I feel like I don't know, maybe that is a bit weird, but
I do record conversation.
do you,
Cut that out. Cut that out.
have you ever recorded a conversation you've had with me without telling me?
With you, no.
Really?
No. I don't know why I would.
Yeah.
It's more the only time I'll record conversations is if I'm like in a very weird situation. And I'm like, oh, this is like too
Good to
or the
miss out
person-
on.
Yeah, the person speaks in a certain way that's just very like, oh, this is good dialogue.
Like for writing a
Yeah,
script.
exactly.
Yeah, I've heard you say that, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's good.
Anywho, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Much more thanks to come, but I just felt like it was a good point, and I've been working with you on it, so I just want to get that out there. Now let's talk about your film,
Okay.
because what fell out of my God, I hope I have this. Oh yeah, this fell out of my pencil case, and it was what we did on your film, which was the 12 values from Awaken the Giant Within. And I just thought it was interesting. I read them over again. And I was wondering if you had yours around. Let's whip it out.
I'm not actually sure because I just changed my wallet, but I could go and find it.
You want to take a cut?
Let me just make sure I don't actually have it right here somewhere. Yeah, let's just cut real quick.
All right.
Be back when I have my notes. All right, so I found the original notes that I made when
Okay.
we did it, and I made a note version of that that's in my wallet. Because
Nice.
it would be the same.
Okay, cool. I just found it interesting because it was like I haven't thought about it in so long, right?
Uh-huh.
And do you want to explain first of all, just so that people are kind of on the same page as us, where this came from? Because I did this because of you.
Right. Okay, let me just try and get in that same state of mind.
Sure.
Because it's a little hard to remember the specifics about it. But the idea was that we would, when we were filming my film, we did all these physical challenges. And one of the days we decided that what we should do is actually take a reflection day.
Right.
And look inwards a little bit and not do anything physical, but purely work with your brain and do mental exercises. And one of those was creating a list of values and starting and making a list of from 1 to 10 in order with what your most important values are.
Right.
And once you've done that, take those 10 and try and think, well, if I want to become this version of myself that I'm thinking of becoming, this is what the trip was about, trying to think of who you want to be in the future.
Right.
What values should I maybe prioritize more than others? And are there maybe some values that I don't currently have that I should put into my list of 10?
Right.
And that would mean taking out some values. So the idea was, it's like two things. You start with 10 values and then you think, okay, well, who do I want to be? And
Right.
change those values to match that.
Exactly.
And then try to be reminded to be that person as often as possible. So have it in your wallet so that when randomly you see it, you might be like, oh, I actually should probably behave a little differently than I am right now
Right.
because of what I've said.
Or like with large life decisions, I guess.
Yeah.
If you've written these in a sober state of mind, you kind of have a reference of like, you know.
It's very interesting you bring it up. Do you want to talk about what some of our values were when we wrote this? And
Yeah,
like
I
if
think
it
the
matches
main
up?
thing I found interesting was that I'm not good with this kind of stuff, which means like the idea is that you kind of look at this all the time, right? And sort of try to be consistent. And I made these. I think I tried really hard for like a week and then I've completely forgot about it. But the interesting thing is I think I have come closer to sort of aligning with this, whether I made the decisions.
Whether you've thought about it
Unconsciously or-
consciously
exactly.
since then.
Exactly.
I think it would have definitely an impact on you just doing the exercise even just once.
Right.
And losing the notes right afterwards.
Right. So I just feel like it'd be interesting to go through and not necessarily, I just go through and then see like kind of like, oh, is this something I've done?
Yeah,
Or is this something I've completely
Neglected. Or forgot about.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
So, in order, these were my final list of values that I wanted to try and stick to or that I already felt comfortable with being that way.
Yeah.
So, the first one was growth, the idea of always improving, always learning.
Yeah.
The second one was adventure.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than growth because it's more about trying new things, which it's similar to growth, but it was more the idea of like challenging yourself and doing things you're uncomfortable with, adventure. Connection, speaking openly with people, being more honest with what you think and feel or how you, just trying to connect more with people. Contributing more, whether that be through charity or friends, either through like actually like donating money to a charity or inspiring people or telling them about things that you think they might benefit from hearing, like trying to add value to someone else.
Right.
Number 5 was health, specifically to do with diet and physical activity. Number 6 was knowledge, which is learning new things. So growth is about learning new things within life, but not specifically like about like reading books and watching films. So knowledge is different for me. And number 7 was love, doing things for loved ones. And like, I feel like it's also worth explaining. Obviously love is probably number 1 for me, but I feel like it's a given. So I didn't need to put it first.
Right.
I needed to be reminded more of like growth and adventure, and that love still has a place on here, but I didn't need to put it first.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though it's not number 7, but it is.
But it is.
Number 8 was energy. So being very focused on having like positive energy, specifically to do with meditating and waking up at a certain time and scheduling your day and making sure you have the most amount of energy you can have. Number 9 was being more proactive. So doing things now and not procrastinating so much, just getting stuff done. And then number 10 was challenge myself. I mean, to me, that's kind of the same as the first one. At least that's how I just explained it. But I have little notes.
What was the first one again?
The first one was growth.
Growth. I think
And
I
it
have
says
that too. Okay.
parentheses, always improve. And next to challenge, which is number 10, it says face more mental and physical fear.
Okay.
I guess it's a little different.
That's different.
Yeah. Those are mine.
So what do you think kind of like looking at it in this slice of time right now?
Yeah.
Sort of how do you feel?
I feel quite good
in
about
the
it, for sure.
scope of that?
Definitely feel like I'm doing those things.
Okay.
Specifically, I can remember, which ones I was like, oh, that's one that like if you look at the ones I wrote originally, so like 10 minutes before this list, this would then be the list of what I want to become, not necessarily what I am right now. Things that are missing from that are success, innovation, and passion. which must mean that I felt like I already had those things kind of, I didn't need to be aware of them on a day-to-day basis. I'm not quite sure what that means exactly. But something like connection was a big one for me. I felt like I've always been very shy and not wanted to speak about anything like serious with anyone. Like it would always stay in like the chit chat, and I felt very uncomfortable in that state.
Yeah.
So I felt like what might work is to try and get deeper with people, whether there's like someone I've just met or like friends.
Yeah.
Wanted to speak more openly with people and not talk around stuff, talk about it. So I feel like that's definitely something I've tried to do. The contribution one, yeah, but only like right afterwards. Like right after this trip, I donated 10% of the crowdfunding budget we raised to a charity called Mind that does work with mental health awareness.
Okay.
And so I did that, but I haven't thought about it since.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's not something I used to be very like into the idea of always taking 10% of whatever I made and donating it to a charity. That has not crossed my mind once since then. So like, but I do feel like I've tried to, it goes hand in hand with the connection one, that contributing what I feel like I think is valuable to other people without it being like an arrogant thing, trying to get over the feeling of someone maybe finding it arrogant or irritating or not wanting to hear it, and just trying to see, well, maybe they are open to learning something and doing that. So I do feel like I've been trying to do that. So I feel good about that one. And then the other ones, I feel like, yeah, definitely like the proactive one. I feel like we do that on a day-to-day basis. Just by starting a company, you have to be proactive.
Yeah. Right on par.
The adventure one, though.
Yeah, what up with that?
I mean, yeah, we're rock climbing, but I want to do some stuff with that. Like,
yeah,
I keep finding myself thinking like, oh yeah, but like, if I get into a pattern of thinking where I'm like, am I like living enough, if you can call it that? Am I experiencing enough things? I'm always like, yeah, well, I'm starting a business. There's a lot of learning that's involved in that. And I'm an adventurer because I climb mountains and rock climb. But I haven't been doing any of that. Yeah, I'm going to the rock climbing gym and climbing a wall. But I need to like actually do that stuff.
Yeah.
And actually go and climb some mountains.
Yeah.
And climb some rock.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one that I need to, it's number 2.
Yeah, it's number 2. That's pretty big.
So that's probably, looking at it just right now, that's one that I need to focus a little bit on and be a little bit more proactive about, maybe.
Interesting.
What about you?
I think that mine are quite similar. Growth, learning, great, check, done that. Positivity, could probably be a little bit more positive on a day-to-day. I feel good now. I feel great now. I felt great in like the past 2 weeks for some reason. So right now, I think nailing it. Overall, I don't know.
What do you mean? I don't know. Do you not think you've been positive?
I think what I meant at the time was like, even if you're feeling shitty, just be positive. And I feel like I've had a
fake positive, or like
yeah, or just like not fake positive, more
not thinking about the negative, thinking about the positive.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a tough one for me, and I think I haven't actually thought about this, but I think negativity is a bad thing, but I think like what's real is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of fits into honesty.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I'm usually coming from. Is just trying to be honest about like how I feel, but I could still try to be a little bit more on the positive side of things.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, or at least it's a funny word, this positivity word. Would you agree that there's a lot of it has like the connotation of, well, being positive means you can't. Well, that's just not realistic. Maybe sometimes you do need to look at the negative.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I think this kind of came from too. I kind of thought that I would just be a happier person based on, you know, in Awaken the Giant Within, he kind of talks about the idea of like, well, just smile in the mirror every day for a minute, and it's going to be hard for you to not be in a good mood after that.
Hard, yeah, okay.
Harder, I guess.
So Awaken the Giant
something
Within
like
is a
that.
book by Tony Robbins. It's this thick book about self-improvement. I mean, like literally a lot of pages.
Yeah.
I don't mean thick as
for
in,
sure.
as in
Yeah.
dull. It's definitely interesting, but
Yeah.
there are things like that which I think can be misleading. I mean, obviously, well, finish your point with that.
I mean, it's tough. It's basically, if I'm in a bad mood,
Yeah.
it's very hard for me to get myself out of that mood.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason I'm in a bad mood.
Right.
Which would mean, in my head, the only way to get out of the mood is like, well, what was the reason?
Yeah.
You can't change that. Doesn't mean you should dwell on it. You shouldn't
Right.
be like, but at the same time, it's okay to feel
For sure.
bad in that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I've accepted. I was like, oh, this is probably how I should be feeling.
Yeah.
And unless it's something totally irrational, of course. And then it's like, well, either there's a reason I'm not understanding, or I'm wanting to feel bad for whatever reason.
I think that's the interesting part, is that you could get into a place where addressing the negative isn't actually happening because you're still just focused on the fact that it's negative, and you're never, I'm not saying you, I'm saying you're as in general, stuck in just feeling negative, and that's just how it is, and not getting any further. And this idea that it can actually be a positive thing. It's almost like it can somehow feel good to feel bad, because at least you don't have to do anything about it. And that can be kind of dangerous.
Definitely. I think also, you know, you might want sympathy from other people, and telling them that you feel bad is an easy way to get.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But this thing of smiling in the mirror until you feel, or at least you'll feel, it'll be harder for you to feel sad afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think anyone has actually tried that?
I honestly, I mean, I tried it like
Really?
once or twice. Yeah.
Like you felt really sad and then you tried and went in the
I was
mirror?
in a bad mood, and I'd go in the mirror and I'm like, try to do it. And it's so ridiculous. I mean, that's the only thing that made me feel better, is how like,
Maybe that's...
no, but it wasn't what he was trying to say. For me, it was more like making a joke out of that ended up making me feel better. Like,
I think...
what a fucking idiot I am standing here. That's what made me feel better, not the...
Well, maybe, I mean, one of the
smiling.
things that I've learned the most from someone like Tony Robbins is his ability to break people's state of mind in the moment. Not lasting change necessarily. That's not what I'm talking about right now. But his ability to just snap people out of their current state, whether it be a negative one, or depressed one, or or bringing them into a super excited state from a state of just being calm.
Right.
He's so crazily good at doing that maybe something like feeling super silly about smiling in the mirror is useful.
I guess.
Because
I don't know.
because
I'm
it
like
makes you laugh.
split on him and all of self-help, where on the one hand, I'm like, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting to read about. Mm-hmm. But also gets in my head, I'm like, you're a fucking lunatic. Like, this is insane.
Right.
Like, you're a fucked up person, or like something's off with
Like,
you.
why are
or
you
like,
so happy all the time?
Yeah.
I think it's like, it's just this idea of like, if you can't do anything about the bad thing, then why are you still upset about it? It's like an insane ability to detach yourself from a negative emotion.
Right.
If there's nothing that can be learned or gained from it.
If there's nothing, if that's the case, yeah. But I think
not,
a lot of
not
times,
easy.
I think most of the times there is something to be learned.
Of course. And I think that's what he's saying as well. I think if you look at what he says, he's not saying that he's always happy. He's just saying that he's using it as best he can. If he is upset, he uses it and then he moves on. He doesn't
Right.
like sit and stay in a bad mood to the point where it like
That's a
becomes,
good thing. Yeah, affects your life.
yeah.
And there are some things, like I said, there are some things that I like his whole idea on even if your past was shitty, you have to accept that it made you who you are now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in a way, you can twist yourself into thinking like, well, I'm kind of grateful that happened because actually I probably wouldn't.
Turning bad experiences into the most
Like that kind of stuff
positive
does make sense
things,
to
yeah.
me, right? But
Yeah,
then
for
I
sure.
also think it can go too far.
When do you
for me
think it's
personally.
when do you think it's dangerous? When do you think that like someone like Tony Robbins or like a self-help book can do damage to someone like in a way that they would maybe take something they're saying and use it incorrectly, or think that that's what they need to do and really they need to focus on something else? Like,
I think I haven't thought about this. Just off the top of my head, I would say that something like, I've been guilty of this too, telling someone to quit their job who doesn't like their job.
right.
There's so many different circumstances somebody could have a job in. And some people shouldn't quit their job because they have real responsibilities. And if it means that your child's not going to eat, that's not like, do you know what I mean? I think there's...
Yeah, you don't
There's
need to
cases.
quit your job, but maybe start looking for something else, and then if you find something else, then quit your job. Don't just quit your job
Right.
for no reason.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think they can
Because
oversimplify
after you read one of
things.
those books, you get so fucking like...
Motivated.
If you it's almost like brainwashed a little bit. Like you get so like... I don't know, swept up in the sort of...
Optimism.
Yeah, or like...
Nothing can really go wrong.
It's like... Yeah, nothing... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And of course stuff's gonna go wrong. And then it's like, well, I still get the ideas are again interesting, and some of them are really beneficial, I think, but it's also like you got to judge that for yourself, whether that's something that's good for you to do or not,
Mm-hmm.
And I can't speak to too many self-help books. Personally, I prefer something like Tim Ferriss, where it's just questions and you're more picking into other people's lives
Yeah.
and kind of picking like, oh, that's interesting, I want to try that, as opposed to more of like here's a guide to happiness. I think that's the dangerous part, is reading it as that. And I don't know if he's saying that, right? If he's like, oh, here's, the guide, but you could certainly like read the book and be like, oh, if I just do these things.
But isn't that
gonna
the
work for
part
me.
that's maybe dangerous, is thinking that doing those things is something that everyone can do, and that it's really actually unrealistic to assume that anyone could actually accurately follow those steps correctly, and that it's there's so much that's hard about following those rules, if you want to call
Yeah.
them that. It's just impossible for anyone to actually do exactly what it is he's saying. And you need to take it for what it is, that you're not going to be able to follow through on everything that he says is going to help you. And that,
But also, I don't know, all that stuff gets a little murky with me. Like the whole idea too of like writing yourself a check for 10 years from now
yeah,
that you're going to cash. And if you just believe it hard enough, you'll kind of will it into existence.
right. You don't believe that kind of stuff.
No.
It's because you don't believe it, though.
I think, yeah, but it's a belief, right?
Yeah, but it's also like you're not believing in magic. All you're believing is that your own intention is going to get you closer and closer to that result.
There's so many variables.
Yeah.
And I think it's like we see the people who did that and it worked because they're like, it worked.
Yeah.
I did this 10 years ago and now I'm able to cash this in. Great. Look at me saying that 10 years ago and look how that's now led me to getting... And it's like, I get that point. And I have nothing really against it. I just don't think that's how things... I think you wrote that and you were the kind of person who was going to... maybe that helped you a little bit by writing that, by giving you a direction. And that's the way it sort of brought you there or whatever. But it's like, it's such a hard thing to think that...
It would be so wrong to think that because you wrote something on a piece of paper and you kept it in your wallet, it's going to happen. There's nothing to do with that
Yeah.
at all.
What was the point?
So it's like misunderstanding it, I guess, if that's what someone would think is the point of doing that. I think it's like a...
Oh, fuck. I feel sick. I feel like my stomach is like... I don't know why.
You don't feel good?
The whole day I've had like my stomach
Oh, no.
a little bit weird.
Do you? Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
I don't eat chips on the pod. what was I saying? I was saying that it's almost like a what's the word? Like a metaphor or so, like a ritual to get yourself into a state of mind where it's like you've begun. I think we were talking about the idea of when like people who write scripts or people who write novels, or
Right.
they will do these elaborate things to get themselves into a state of mind where they're going to work on it really hard because
Right.
they've set other things in motion, like booking the most expensive hotel room for a month, and living in that hotel room and working on their novel.
Right.
Just the gesture of spending money while you're working and knowing that you've spent that money so that you can have a quiet place to
Yeah.
work is going to make you work harder because you've done this silly thing.
That's great.
It's like you're wasting money if you're not spending the time as best as you can.
Yeah, I agree
in
with
the
that.
same way, I think something like writing on a piece of paper and having it in your wallet is going to make you like, well, I did that, and like, oh, I should probably do something about it.
Maybe I just have the wrong. For me, it would mean nothing.
Right.
I'd
Well,
be
that's
like,
obviously
great, I
not the
did
thing
that.
to do. Well, of course, it's not going to do anything for you. Then.
No, but it's the same. I've heard people say like, "Why I believe that I'm rich. I just don't have this stuff now,
Yeah.
but I already have it."
Like what?
Like
how?
I think like Jim Carrey said it when he was younger or something. I'm getting into territory where I don't have all my facts straight, but just the general idea of being like, I already think. I don't even think. I already have the things. They're just not here right now.
Yeah.
Like I already have money.
Yeah.
I just don't have it right now.
So I've
And then
read.
people will be like, when they have money, they're like, yeah, I always believed that I had money. And now I just have it. I knew back then that I would have it. I'm like, oh, great. That's
Okay.
great. I don't know how that helps me.
The thing, okay, so this is like law of attraction
Right.
territory. And from what I've understood about this,
You would know
stuff
way more than me, yeah.
is that it sounds kind of crazy to be saying stuff like this. And I think it's the wrong thing to assume that they're actually deluded into thinking they have this stuff without it actually being there. But that they're so aware of how powerful your own thoughts can be that if you are, for example, wanting more money, that if you're thinking, oh, I wish I had more money, that's actually a negative way of thinking about it because you are acknowledging the fact that you don't yet have that. And that if you turn that thought into a thought that sounds more like, I actually already have that money, you are more you're attracting that idea to you. So you're actually working harder to make more money rather than saying, I wish I had more money. I wish I
Okay.
had more money. And it not happening because you're thinking about it negatively. Let me use a different example because that sounded a little bit like
No, it makes,
culty.
It makes sense. I mean, I understand it. I think I'm saying very specifically this doesn't work for me, I think.
Right.
I'm not speaking for anyone else.
But I find it so fascinating because I can see that you might be thinking you're thinking a certain way. And then by looking at it in this law of attraction way, you're actually, suddenly you think, I'm actually thinking about it in a different way than I thought I was. And actually what I'm thinking is, I don't have this stuff. I wish I did, but I don't. And that you're kind of stuck on the I don't rather than what it is you want. So if you're thinking about, it's the way that visualizing works for me, and that's what I use kind of this type of thinking for, is if I want to achieve something like climbing a mountain or like running a marathon. That was one that actually has worked.
Yeah.
It was something I wanted to do, and I've just spent time visualizing very clearly myself crossing the finish line.
Right.
So the act of doing it and the finishing part of that act. Instead of thinking, I haven't run a marathon, I want to run one. It's taking another step and actually visualizing that taking place as if it's already happened.
Yeah.
It's so vivid in my head that it's almost like I feel like I've already done it. I know I haven't,
Right.
but I'm so drawn to that every single time when I'm thinking, should I go for a run? I really don't feel like it's raining. I've been like, oh yeah, I'm so drawn to that vision. I'm
Yeah.
going to go for the run.
Yeah.
And it has helped.
Yeah.
So it may sound like this
But that's still your choice. Yeah, I think the
But it's
law
the
of
same-
attraction, what
it's the
sounds
same
weird to
thing.
me is
Yeah.
that it sounds as if you're saying like
Magical.
things are coming towards you.
Yeah,
Like by thinking it, this
But
is
it-
somehow in the
think-
ether of the universe, things are like starting to float towards you. And I'm like, no, that was your hard work that kind of led to that. But
Exactly.
I agree that the mindset is definitely
I think that's the thing. And it definitely is a little hocusy pocusy sometimes.
Yeah.
The whole idea of like vibrations in the universe. And if you are feeling negative, it's because you are not vibrating with your true self.
oh
And that means you have to change something, which sounds like fucking weird. Like, what the fuck are you saying?
just the way
But it's
you-
coming from just a very simple idea that if you feel bad, it's, yourself, your body telling you that something's wrong.
Right.
Change something.
right. And
But
that's
that's
why
sometimes
that's what I think
easier
is-
for people to understand if it's like this. But I think that's like a religious kind of way of thinking.
Yeah.
That's sometimes easier because it's simplified.
Yeah,
And that's, I think, if you can get to the core of what it is that
but it
writing
adds,
something on a piece of paper is going to do, because you're going to think about it differently. It's not that it's actually going to do anything.
Okay.
Of course it's not going to do
Yeah,
anything.
I can get behind that.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't want to trash the whole thing. I do think, for example, one thing I found very interesting at the time was Tony Robbins said something about the idea of like, well, don't use, for example, don't say you're depressed constantly to people you're around, like, oh, yeah, I think I'm depressed, I think blah, blah, blah. Because you start to associate that word with, let me get my mind straight on this. Basically, you're using the same word for a variety of situations, right? It's such an overused word that somebody says, oh, I feel kind of depressed, or I'm depressed. And when you start to use it for all these different situations, then the next time you kind of bring up, you're kind of invoking all of those past times you've used the word. And that could put you into like a negative state, because now it's almost like a placebo effect of like, where you're using the same word to describe something that maybe actually you felt differently in that situation before. So now you've put yourself in a worse mood. And that I found very interesting. And I feel like I've been really conscious about like being more specific. If I am feeling bad, it's like, get to the root of it. Like, what's the reason and how are you actually feeling, rather than just always saying,
Yeah.
I'm depressed, because that's something that's really easy to fall into.
I think that relates to this exercise, and also something as weird as like writing down a goal and keeping it in your wallet.
Yeah.
It's the being specific about what it is you're after.
Yeah.
Or where it is you're trying to go.
Right.
Because you might feel like you're wanting something, or at least something's wrong. You do feel depressed, or
Right.
you're not happy with what's currently going on. But it's very important to take the next step at defining what it is that's wrong and what it is that you do want.
Right.
And so something like writing down what your values are, obviously you know what your values are, but it suddenly becomes a little bit more clear. And you start to see things that you maybe hadn't looked at before. Like, well, these are my values, but I keep talking about wanting to be someone who does like what I said with the adventure. I
Right.
consider myself someone who likes adventure and would always accept adventure.
Right.
And I want it to be high on my list. I truly feel like that's me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at what I've done in the past year, that wouldn't really cut it. I haven't done anything adventure-wise, and according to my standards.
Okay.
I'm sure someone else would be like, yeah, of course you have. Like,
Yeah, I was going to say.
yeah, but no, but according to my standard, which is climbing mountains and climbing on cliffs,
Right.
I haven't done any of that. So I'm like, well,
Didn't you climb a mountain?
a year ago.
That was a year ago?
Yeah. It
damn.
would still be within this year.
Okay.
But in like 2 weeks, no.
Okay.
I think it is something that it's worth, whether you put it on paper or talk to someone about it or just verbalize. I think humans are very good at seeing things, like visually seeing. That's why like visualizing is a good tool. Imagining yourself doing the thing you want to do works, because then you are going to start to work towards that. There's something that happens in the brain when you associate an actual image with something you want to do, rather than like a vague idea of something. It's like easier to go towards.
Yeah.
That it's kind of all the same thing a little bit, like identifying what it is, whether you write it down or talk to someone about it.
Anyway, so that was positivity.
Positivity.
Let's go through these quick. Did it? But I didn't say it.
It's that one.
Damn.
Just in case.
Then I have achievement independence. I would say check, like in the works, parentheses success. Depends what your definition of success is, but I feel like I'm right on track for that with Burning Boat and you. Passion and excitement. I feel great about that. I don't really know what I meant.
What do you mean by excitement?
I don't know. Excitement. I honestly don't know.
It could be something
I'm
like
very excited.
You get excited about, new things.
Yeah, it's probably something to do with that.
You don't really get excited about something you already enjoy as much.
Passion and excitement. I don't know. Number 5, intimacy. No bueno.
But you've tried.
I've tried, and still in the works.
Yeah.
Still
So
one.
I think that's fair.
Honesty, great. Still working on it. Talked about that last week. Adventure, risk taking. Yeah, same. Could probably do more. Same with you. I think we do have stuff in the works, and it's in my head, which is like the important part.
Yeah,
that it's gonna happen. It's just a question of when. Creativity. Not sure what that means. Contribution. That's where I was gonna get to. This is why I picked this up and I saw contribution, and I was like,
"Did you call bullshit on yourself?"
Oh, like I'm such a selfish fuck, but it doesn't mean I don't want to do something. It's been on my computer for like months now. I just want to find something to like help out with.
Ah, I see.
You know, whether that be
contribution. I mean.
But I specifically want that.
Let's get down to it. Everyone does things for other people because it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
That's a science. It's not. It's not embarrassing to admit that.
Right.
Like the reason why I want to, give money to charities or help other people is because I feel good doing it. I don't feel bad about doing that.
Yeah. But I want it to be more like, it's just something you should do. I don't think you have to have a reason.
No, but you're saying I'm a selfish fuck. But it's like, then so am I, and so is everyone. Fine. Everyone is selfish.
Well, I haven't done it, is my point.
Right.
Don't let me off the hook.
Fine.
It's been on there for a while.
Okay.
I want it to be like back when we were in high school, right? Okay. There's a certain amount you have to do. You just have to. Shut your mouth and help some people out. That's just part of life. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. I think I want to get back into that of like, it's easy to make excuses and be like, well, I just don't have the time, and we got the new company, and we're busy, and they have days.
Why is it something you have to do?
Why is it something that you have to do?
Yeah.
Because I'm able to do it, and I think I am privileged, and I should give some of that back and not just hold it all to myself, and it doesn't have to be financial contribution. Yeah. I think helping in a soup kitchen is just as good. Or, I want to work with like pets, but I feel like that's a bit of a cop out, to be honest.
How so?
It's too
How about with pets? What do you mean?
Like working in an animal shelter or something.
Oh. Why is it a cop out?
For me. I think it's great that people do it.
Like you could do more?
Yeah, or there's just things that I'm more concerned about.
Right.
I think like homelessness is like actually something that's quite, like, I do want to help. I don't even know what the homeless situation is here, but
definitely not.
New York definitely affected me.
Right. It's definitely not what it was in New York.
Right. I don't know. Also, just fucking do something, Taylor. Just find something. The other thing I keep going through is like, oh, it's on Danish. I don't know how to figure it out. And it's like, well, you call them, Anyways, happiness. Honestly, I've been very happy lately. So that's a good one. Love and warmth. It's been warm. It's been a warm summer.
What, the happiness thing?
Yeah.
Is that something you feel like is something that you have worked for, and that is you are happy because of you, or that it's like you're grateful that you happen to be in a happy time and that things are working kind of coincidentally?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Right. I've told like 2 people this in the last week, where it's like, it feels very uncomfortable for me when someone's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, actually, it's going great. Like, it's amazing. Let me tell you all these things that are amazing about it. It feels very uncomfortable to like be too happy in front of people.
Yeah, obviously there's a limit, but
right.
Okay.
No, it just feels weird, because usually I feel like I'd be the one that's like, yeah, it's okay. Like, this is
yeah,
you know,
I get what you mean.
And it's just feel good at the moment. It's good. Love and warmth, and then gratefulness. I could do a little better, probably, but I just thank you for working on my film.
That's true.
I'm trying to do that, you know, with people and show them my appreciation. And yeah, I think when I went through it, the main thing was the only thing that was like not being addressed at all was the contribution.
Right. I mean, I also brought it up.
Right.
I mean, I wonder. It's something that it's weird that I kind of haven't thought about it, because it is very important to me as well. I'm not saying we should do the same thing, but
No.
I'm definitely into the idea of actively trying to think of stuff that we could, or that I could do, either through the company or separately from the company. But it's something I thought about wanting to incorporate at some point into the business. You know,
It's just something that'd be nice, like on a, I don't know, Saturday morning, you get up and do whatever for 3 hours.
It
It's
is
so easy to say, though. I just gotta fucking do it. We'll see. We'll keep you. We'll keep you updated.
Just say that you'll do something.
Huh?
Just say that you'll work on
I will.
figure something
It's
out.
definitely. I mean, it's on my mind.
It's on your mind.
Okay. Moving on. I had a lump under my armpit 3 days ago, and I freaked out for a second. Because it was really painful.
Oh, that's not good.
No, and I couldn't. That's why I didn't go rock climbing. I like
Oh no.
barely could raise my arm.
Still?
And it felt like, you know what it felt like? No, it's gone. It felt like, do you ever feel like your armpit hair has gotten like tied in a knot? It never actually happens, but you're like, it kind of hurts, as if some hair has gotten stuck or something.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
like
a little
pulling
bit.
hair sensation.
Yeah.
And I kept being like,
Okay.
what do I gotta shave my armpits? Like, what's going on here? Like, too. And then I was like, what is that? It was like a little lump. And yeah, I don't know what it was. It went away.
Went away?
I talked about it with somebody. I think you have like lymph nodes in your armpit. So
Yeah.
it might have been like an inflamed node. Who knows?
Maybe.
But in the vein of honesty, I thought I would bring it up and just let the people know, you know? Or if it's something horrible, leave it in the comments. Let me know to go check that out.
Well, I wouldn't pretend to know what. I mean, if it's gone away, that sounds to me like that's
Nothing.
good.
Yeah.
I actually,
Also have a lump.
I literally, yeah, I do, but I've always had it,
Oh.
or at least for a long time. I can't remember not having it. I have this like bump right here. You can actually visibly see it in my armpit.
Maybe it's your lymph node. Is lymph node the right? I might be
I don't
using
have
the
no idea.
wrong
To
word
me,
here.
it's just, it feels like it's like a collection of. It's always there. It doesn't
Okay.
swell up or go down. It's
Collection
just like,
of what?
Of cells. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But I have it. I think I have it on both actually. I'm trying to find it. And the other day,
Mine was like here.
the
like
other day,
smack in the middle.
Phoebe was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "What is that? What are you talking about?"
Those are my lumps of cells. Those are my cell lumps.
I guess I'll extend the same message if anyone listening is like, "Dude, get that checked out."
Or what I'm really hoping is somebody listens to it, has the same experience, and is like, okay, I don't need to freak out.
Yeah, but that would be
It's gonna go away.
What if it doesn't?
Well, you should probably go to the doctor then.
Yeah.
And it's so dangerous to look up anything online. It's like the worst idea.
Dude, don't ever do it.
No.
You can't. Yeah, like
That's cancer. It's definitely cancer.
If there's anything wrong with Arlo, he has like, anything, you're like, dog, and it's like, he's gonna die within 2 hours.
Yeah.
You need to run to the vet. You're like, what? It's a little difficult to know what to do.
It's very difficult, and you don't want to go to the freaking doctor all the time.
I mean, I've said
like
this
my
before.
rule.
I never go.
Yeah.
I would only go if there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
And so it's always been there. Never bothered me. Never hurt. I'm not going to do anything about it.
Well, yeah.
You know, if I felt the same on like a testicle or something, I'd probably feel differently.
Well, if you find a lump there, definitely go to the doctor.
Anyone listening, do the same.
Do you check yourself for lumps?
Yeah.
I do like once every...
I don't do it often.
No, me neither.
I don't do it like every time I shower, but I definitely do it like...
How often are you supposed to do it?
I think there's not a number where... I think the more the better, I guess. I probably do maybe like, I don't know, once a month or something. I don't have like a timer on my phone, like gotta do it now. It's like whenever it pops into my head,
but
I'll be
that
like,
shit will go
there we
for like, I couldn't tell you the last time I did it. Maybe a year ago.
Oh, shit, well you probably do it.
Probably
check it out.
Feel around down there.
I mean,
it's a little weird, you know.
it wouldn't hurt to try.
No, I'll try. Yeah. All right. I don't know. I have scheduled for souls. We're like, fuck that. We're not gonna do that.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. That's a little boring. We do that afterwards.
So, and then I guess we can end it on 2 questions.
Oh yeah. The questions.
You know, I just made these up. Honestly.
I love these questions.
Yeah, but I just made them up in like the last 5 minutes, so don't expect anything.
Well, like while we were talking?
No, just before the podcast, I realized, well, I should end it with some questions again.
Okay.
The first one I had was, when was the happiest you've ever been?
Ooh. Like a day or a period
Just
in my
a
life?
time.
Right now.
Yeah.
Everything's great.
And, okay.
Honestly.
Yeah, no, I have the same answer. I was wondering if you would go to childhood or something.
It has been getting better ever since like 2 years ago. From
Upward,
like
just
pretty much consistently just been getting better.
Like
Because I've been building off of things that are going well.
Right.
It hasn't been like it's going well and then there's like a period of like shit not working out or like, I don't know, getting into bad habits. No, it's always been, for the past 2 years, it's been like moving up, like
Nice.
doing better, whether it be like mentally or physically. There's always something else, and it's just been getting better. Obviously, it doesn't mean like there hasn't been downs.
Yeah.
But in general,
I haven't had any downs in the last 2 years.
no, nothing like
No, I'm kidding.
worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
happy all the time.
No, I mean,
No, I know exactly
I
what
don't.
you're saying.
There haven't been any significant, worthy of mentioning downs.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything like
Yeah.
that.
And in your opinion, what makes life worth living?
Just before I answer that, I was just wanting to make clear that there obviously have been downs.
I know exactly what you're
past 2
talking
years.
about. We can all accept that. Yeah.
And, you know, for people who I care very deeply about, there have been downs, and I think about that a lot. But it has been something that I feel like hasn't made me be completely down because of it. I feel like I see potential there.
Right.
And that it's something that's being worked on. And I think it
didn't bring you back to point zero. Like,
it's not something that I spend like an abnormal amount of time being down about personally. It makes me down for a little bit, and then I think of what I can do to maybe help out in that situation, and that makes me feel kind of good. And it's not something that I see as like being like really hopeless, and in that sense feeling really down about it. I think it's something that is being worked on, and so in that sense I don't feel down about it. I just suddenly realized it's like, well, that's not true at all. There's been a lot of downs.
Yeah.
But
you're saying on the whole, it's
I've felt
the
very
question
good.
is more like, you know how some people will be like, oh, high school was the best time ever. Like, oh, high school
I wish
was so
it was
great.
high school. I wish I could go back to high school.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, no. Now.
It's like,
right
when
now,
do you think is
I'm very much in like now.
Yeah.
And have been feeling like that for the past 2 years.
Cool.
Okay.
Second question.
Yeah, that was a big one. I can't even remember it.
What makes life worth living?
What makes life worth living? When you are part of something that's bigger than yourself. That's a pretty broad answer,
okay.
But I feel like that can be applied to a lot of things. I think
I'm kind of coming from the idea of like, well, do you believe there's anything after death?
No.
So there's nothing when you are dead and gone. Nothing really.
The only
matters,
thing that
I guess.
exists after you are dead that is related to you is other people's memory of you.
Right.
And the things that you set in motion that maybe continue after you're dead, whether it be an idea or like a physical thing, like a business or something.
Right.
You don't exist. No.
No.
So to you, I guess nothing matters, but
Right.
I'd argue that it does matter because you care about people who are still alive.
Okay.
So what is your question?
That's the.
What makes life worth living?
Yeah.
So according
like,
to me, nothing.
Why would you kill yourself? Why would you not kill yourself? More like.
I think a big
What
thing
makes-
for me that makes life worth living is the feeling of working on something and working with other people or working on something that I think is significant and can bring value to other people, small or big.
Okay.
And that being part of something that you feel like is important. So I think I would be unhappy if I was just roaming around, not really working on something concrete. Like if I was just traveling around visiting a bunch of different countries and doing and meeting people here and meeting people there and learning about this culture and about that culture, I don't think I would feel as fulfilled as I do with working on something that I feel is significant and has value, having like a purpose, like a daily purpose to build lasting relationships and to build like a company. I feel like that's what is worth living for, like something I mean, obviously, now I've made it sound like traveling and meeting people.
Fuck you guys.
That's not what I meant. I
You're
meant
traveling, life is not worth living.
that would be something that would give you maybe the insight or the knowledge or the connections or the worldview to start working on something that you could contribute to the world or whatever.
Yeah, I
that's
think traveling
super
is super important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I just made that sound kind of wrong. And I think that specifically is like very important, having like a daily purpose. Like a purposeful life is pretty not important. Wait, is it purposeful?
Purpose.
Less is what I meant.
Yeah.
Purposeless.
Cool. Well, I thought that was Arlo. And that's it.
That you don't want to answer?
There were questions for you.
I answered all my own questions last time.
That's your. I think when was the happiest you ever been? I said the same.
Yeah, you did.
What makes life worth living?
Yeah, answer that one.
Yeah. Still trying to figure it out.
On next time on Burning Boat Business.